Hello, my name is Irena Kazolina. I'm a student of English studies, but most of my life I lived in Russia. And today's video, I want to start with a thought which came to my mind very recently and very strangely. And it sounds like sometimes we think that we lost a person, but we just lost our illusions of them. And I wanted to understand so much the concept of love, and which led me to understand even more things with the reading of Family Happiness. It's a very big book written by Leo Tolstoy, and big not in a sense of its size, gladly, but in a sense of feelings we don't speak about, and the characters don't speak about them either, but we see what we consistently feel in a daily communication. And defining love and relationship, I'm not only referring to the relationship between romantic partners. This type of love, I think, refers to all the people which exist and with whom we have to communicate. And yes, it's a very interesting book which I read in a couple with Roland Barthes. And consistently, I was afraid of people changing in my eyes, because sometimes when we meet a person, we feel like we want to talk and we want to have a conversation, and this person seems so interesting and so amazing and so intriguing, and we're like, yeah, dude, let's speak more. And then this crack of very deep realism happens, and you see this person no more as this ideal picture, this ideal person, but more like a real human. And that's what the greatest people of the past speak, Roland Barthes and Leo Tolstoy in Family Happiness. So the Family Happiness is a book about Masha, who meets Sergei, and then they marry each other, and then with the time their feeling transforms. And their feeling transforms so drastically and so differently. And I think in a modern world we are very afraid of these transformations. Sergei starts seeing Masha not as a romantic partner, but based on some interpretations, as a mother. And he gives her freedom to do what she wants. And he lets go his imagery of her, because he thought at the beginning that she was this innocent child from a village, but then they go to St. Petersburg and Masha wants to have her personal life, and it's absolutely normal, but he lets go this illusion so fast. She keeps keening on her illusions more and more and more, using it like a stick for walking. And I think that's where we see the greatest contrast, and that's what Roland Barthes calls a mask. When we notice a person on the street, if we did not use these masks to everyone, to every our friend, to every our lover, we would just come to every person and like talk to everyone, because everyone would be equally interesting. But when we notice some feature, we start developing this mask and this imagery and start thinking that, oh, this person is cool and what they do is cool and I like it. And when this person comes into our life, we had like a straight path, and then this path declines. And we don't know what will happen further, because we don't know. When we meet a friend, we're like, maybe we'll go for a couple of picnics or do some interesting stuff, but we don't know anything. And we already start imagining and building this very deep and profound imagery, because our brain, I think our brain cannot live with this deep and profound question. Okay, what are we doing now? Where are we going, dude? So, and that's why we use this mask, we use these illusions, and we try to think what will happen further. And we see, and I think we're keen to sort of idealize this person. But further happens a very interesting moment when our fantasy meets the reality, and this person starts being real, with its flaws, with its mistakes, with its uncertainties, and which happens with Masha and Sergei, and she finds him boring, and she finds this life in a village very predictable and very rhythmical. And he does a very deeply important thing, because he lets her go, and he lets her to choose and make some choices and make her mistakes. And I think that's the part when this betrayal, this mask, this illusion of a person just goes away from us, and when we can allow other person to be themselves, and when we don't want to control them. But Masha does not lose her illusions, and we see two figures, and one figure lets it go by his own will, and Masha does not, because might be an age difference, might be some other factors, but and she keeps seeing him through this amazing romantic lens which she had at the beginning, and which does not work anymore. And the story ends with the collapse, and the collapse they had to experience, both of them, because Masha needed to lose a person to take off her romantic lens. And the thing which I've noticed from many experiences, how to make the step to this real portrayal of life, and I think we need to learn to accept our own flaws, because Sergei, throughout the book, he's very accepting of his own flaws, and he knows that he has an age, and he knows that he's not that young, and he's not that keen to be the first romantic interest of Masha. He's self-aware, but he does not do anything with it. He accepts it, and I think this acceptance of our negative sides, that what leads us to see other people real as they are. Because when we notice something negative about ourselves, we might think that it's something bad, and we need to correct it. We need to make it better. We need to become better. Or some people just try to close their eyes and trying to ignore these factors, but we are generally trying to trap ourselves in two dimensions of the same spectrum. And I think the perfect balance comes from the middle, when we try to see ourselves with our flaws and good sides. Not try to immediately correct or to ignore, but just to let it go, to see, to observe. Because being not able to see and observe these sides of yourself leads us to this idealization of others, and then as Marsha, we just break our illusions and we suffer from losing this illusion, which was the base of our life. And so to end this video, I wrote a very good quote from the book. With that day ended my romance with my husband. The old sentiment became a precious, irretrievable reminiscence, and a new feeling of love for my children and for the father of my children laid the foundation for another and entirely different and happy life, which has not ended, even at the present moment.